Hello everyone, and welcome to The Storyist. Today, I will tell you about a girl who gave a toy to a dumb boy, and after 5 minutes, no one could hold back their tears. Watch the video until the end to find out what happened and how the boy made everyone cry. A 15-year-old girl met up with the babysitting group every Wednesday night, the newest and youngest addition to the group, where they would discuss any issues they were all facing, share information about clients, and pass around popcorn for juicy gossip in town. Harmless stuff until the leader of the babysitting group started complaining about the family she was babysitting for, the family who lived in the nicest part of town. They paid more than any other family had, but after babysitting their 7-year-old son 2 nights ago, the girls realized why they paid more. Their son wasn't just a naughty kid, he was the worst kid anyone had ever babysat. No matter what activity the leader tried to do, he would just stare back blankly, like he had no idea what she was saying. She tried to help him with his schoolwork, but she realized he must be really dumb because he acted like he hadn't learned anything in school. The leader told the girls that she already discussed it with his mom, but she brushed aside the comments and offered her more money. Something about that did not sit right with her. She asked if another girl could take on the babysitting job. Each of 3 other girls secretly thought it couldn't be that bad, especially considering how much money the woman was offering. They believed they could do a better job. So after that night, there was a new girl babysitting for the family each week until it was finally down to the youngest girl in the group. All the other girls came back after one night exhausted. It truly was that bad. For one of the girls, the son had thrown glass and tried to run away from home. For the other girl, he refused to believe 1 + 5 = 6 and kept tearing his picture books instead of reading them. The girls were terrified. At that point, the youngest girl wasn't sure anymore if she wanted to do this job. Based on what everyone else had said, it seemed like the job of nightmares. The day she found out she would have to babysit him next, she returned home solemn. Her sister, who was 21 and visiting from college, could see the distress all over her face. Her sister asked her what was wrong. While her sister was troubled by the intensity of the son's behavior, she was also really curious about him. She was studying behavior psychology in college, and while she was no expert, she recognized that some of the issues he was having could be signs of other problems. But she also didn't think it was her younger sister's responsibility to fix those problems. Instead, her sister made her promise that it would just be a one-time thing. Then, the 2 of them went shopping for a new babysitting kit. Each girl in the collective would create their own babysitting kit, usually filled with regular toys for kids. However, her sister recommended that she create a special one for Tyler. They went off to the store and bought glitter, glue, coloring pencils, rope, fake flowers, and an assortment of other random items. Her sister's plan? Just do something fun. Instead of trying to have a really set plan to fix the son, since she only planned to babysit for them once, she just needed to make sure she and the son had fun. And what's more fun than random arts and crafts? The day came when it was her turn to babysit. She had her babysitting kit tucked under her arm and she nervously knocked on the family door. The girls were absolutely right. The family was wealthy. They even had a gated driveway that her dad had to drive through to drop her off. A very put-together woman opened the door with a big smile and moving arms. She grabbed the babysitting girl and gave her a big hug, excited to see her. Without a chance to collect herself, the babysitting girl was swept into the Wells home. She gave her a full tour of the house while explaining how busy she had been preparing for a big event they were planning on hosting the following month. The babysitter, the girl, nodded along but was wondering why the mother was telling her all of this. All she needed to know was where the little boy was and what time the mother and father would be back. The mother took the babysitter to the son's room. He was rolling around the floor eating corn. The mother shook her head and held her hand up. She said it was strange that he did that, but there was nothing they could do about it. Also, she mentioned that her son never came out of his room, so she would have to do all activities inside. The babysitter had no plan on listening to her. Her parents raised her to never eat in her room or to mix play and sleep. So the second the mother and father stepped out, the babysitter stomped into the son's room. Without a delay, she scooped him up and dragged him into the playroom. The son kicked and screamed bloody murder, worse than anything Tony had ever heard. But she had her standards and couldn't imagine disobeying them because of a temper tantrum. The night spiraled downward from there. Despite the babysitter's best efforts, singing, dancing, playing video games, all the son would do was thrash around on the floor, screaming. Nearly out of her mind, the babysitter remembered she had brought her babysitting kit and brought it out from her backpack. She dumped all the random assortment of crafts and playthings on the ground. The son eyed the glitter, the glue, the colors, and stopped screaming. Within seconds, he turned into an absolute art fanatic. He started coloring, painting, making beautiful creations on the paper the babysitter had brought. Her jaw dropped. She didn't try to interrupt him or even join in. She sat back and watched him play for almost the entirety of the night. When it was dinner time, she slid him a plate of food, which he ate up quickly and handed back with a polite thank you. By the end of the night, the son was peacefully fast asleep and content. When the mother and father came home, the babysitter explained the whole thing. But for some reason, they ignored her plea that their son wasn't dumb. He was an artistic genius. Instead, they believed that the babysitter had just been a wonderful babysitter and begged her to come back. The babysitter shrugged her shoulders and went along with it. It only meant more money for her for less work. For the rest of that month, she babysat the son up until the night of the family banquet, an annual gathering for fundraising and networking. The mother asked the babysitter to watch the son that night and to keep him away from everyone else. They had too many incidents with him and didn't want to be embarrassed. The babysitter again complied. None of her business, she thought. That day, however, she packed an old toy of hers, her recorder from elementary school. When the babysitter got to the Wells, she could tell their banquet was in full swing. There were over 100 people in their large mansion, but she and the son were cooped up in his room, hiding away until the party was over. The mother's instructions to her was to keep him busy and out of the public eye. That worked, until the son mentioned having to use the bathroom. The babysitter tried to keep him calm, but the crazy in him came out, and he dashed out of his room and down the stairs, now holding the recorder from her bag. The babysitter chased after him, but it was too late. His presence, screaming and running down the stairs, shocked the attendees of the banquet. The mother and father were furious, but suddenly there was an elegant sound coming from the son. The entire banquet silenced. There in the middle of the room, the son was playing the babysitter's old recorder. Except, unlike the scratchy sounds the babysitter could barely make, the son's playing was beautiful. No one moved as he played the recorder. 5 minutes later, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. The mother and father were shocked. They couldn't believe their dumb son was the one bringing everyone to tears. They finally realized what the babysitter had mentioned that first night about their son's artistic prowess. They ran to him, ready to embrace their son into a new light. But the son, having initially run out to use the bathroom, decided there was no better place than the middle of the banquet to pee. The babysitter shook her head. She expected nothing less. If you like this story, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And make sure you turn on the notification bell. We'll see you in the next story.